This is where normally I'd give an intro, I'd make a joke of some sort, or I'd traverse us into what we're going to be talking about. But really quick, if I could have 5 minutes of your time, I want to talk about something that's totally unrelated to the movie we're talking about and most things. Is that okay with everyone?
No, but go for it.
It'll be a quick 5-minute segment.
All right.
We've all seen Avengers Age of Ultron, I assume.
I thought we were talking about Marvel
Yes.
on this. Yeah. You're making me want to swear right now. Blake.
I'm just interested in where this is going.
Okay.
Yeah, where is
We've
this going?
We've all seen Avengers Age of Ultron. That's the question.
Yes, we've seen it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you guys ever realized that it's very, very similar to another movie from the early 2000s? Anybody want to take a guess at which movie I'm referring to?
No.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, like Total Recall because I fucking wanted to wipe
That's
my.
from the 80s.
Oh, I know, but I was gonna make a joke because I wanted to wipe my brain after watching that fucking movie.
Age of Ultron.
It's a bad movie. It's a
But we're
bad
not
movie, but
talking-
we don't have to go into that.
Yes.
No. And before anybody says anything, I just want you to really all think about this for like at least 10 seconds before rebuttal comes.
What?
I'm telling you, Avengers Age of Ultron is very similar to the Santa Claus 2.
What the fuck?
That wasn't 10 seconds. That
you
wasn't 10 seconds. And I see your face. I see you processing what I'm saying, and I see you agreeing with me.
Was that the one where he made the robot Santa
Well,
Claus?
let's do a plot breakdown really quick.
You had to top the show with this? This is what you wanted
Yeah.
to start the conversation
yeah.
with? Oh my God.
okay.
I mean, we're going to be in some dreary territory in just a few minutes, so I thought
Okay,
it'd be kind
you know
of
what?
nice.
We're gonna have to actually put like a skip point of like the actual start of the episode now.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
We're talking about suicide, but also Age of Ultron.
Yes. And the Santa Claus 2.
But really quick.
Okay.
What's the worst subject
But
of all
Ron, you agree with me?
I
don't
see
you?
what you're going for, I guess. Yes.
Let me just.
I don't remember the Santa Claus
Oh,
too.
God.
Let me just give a breakdown of neither movie, but both movies. Our genius main character has a heavy
All right,
workload.
Tim Allen is not a genius.
He's not a genius.
But as Santa Claus, he probably
Okay,
is,
you
right?
could say he's a toy maker. He's a tinkerer.
Yeah.
Okay, point being, our main character, who is a scientist of some sort,
Okay, even that
has a big workload, and as a way to expedite their work and make it easier on them, they create an AI android that can take over a large chunk of their responsibilities. However, that AI android takes their task too literally and goes crazy and becomes evil. It's the same movie.
Okay.
And I would like to add that not only does evil android Santa resemble Ultron, but he also has his own army of robot counterparts that are all uniform exactly as Ultron does.
Does the evil Santa make robot elves?
So
Yeah, he does.
Just saying, isn't that like the core plot to I don't know, the Amazing Spider-Man 2?
No, that's the
The one with Doc Ock.
No, that's
that's Spider-Man 2, and also
just
no.
Spider-Man 2. No, he creates these robot limbs, right,
That
in
is
order to
true.
help him with science, and then he turns evil. I mean,
you could
on
say
pretty
it's
much
it's
every
a plot
robot
of-
movie.
Yeah, the Terminator. It's
What
I
I'm
mean,
saying
you're not
is-
making a big grand, oh my God, realization
saying
here. That's just
specifically is-
no, you boiled it down to the cheesiest, corniest, basest plot of any robot movie that has ever
I'm saying
existed. Name one that's
specifically-
not like this.
No. I'm not
I mean-
saying it's a totally original idea.
really
I'm
going
just
for the
saying that the evil Santa and Ultron, I don't know. Kevin Feige's got
Okay.
some explaining to do. That's all I think.
Okay.
Hi, welcome everyone to Half a Clue Movie Review. I'm
Yeah.
Blake.
If
This
you're tuning
episode-
in now, you didn't miss anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works. Just people just zipping
Yeah,
through
I'd
the
rather
AMs.
talk about drinking myself to death.
Yes.
Man,
Yes.
why are you guys so against that talking point? I was excited all week to talk about this.
That makes it even better that you're
Yeah.
building it up all week. I mean, that's it's I see what you're saying there, Blake, and the similarities are uncanny. I'll say.
They exist. They're not uncanny, but they exist.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay,
introduce
let's get
ourselves.
going with this
Let's
episode
introduce
now.
ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Blake.
I'm Ron.
I'm Jason.
I'm Miles.
It was my pick, and I decided to choose a fun for the whole family, kind of lighthearted, happy-go-lucky film,
A romp.
Leaving Las Vegas.
You know that joke doesn't work if you say it every time you choose a miserable ass film.
But you see, I think it's funnier each time.
Okay.
So today we're talking about a film that doesn't just pull you in, it kind of drags you to the depths and leaves you there. Leaving Las Vegas, 1995, directed by Mike Figgis. Yeah. Starring Nicolas Cage and Elizabeth Shue. In his Oscar-winning performance, this film is as haunting as it is tragic. It's a story about self-destruction, redemption, and the complexity of human connections. So grab a drink of your choice and let's get into it.
Oh yeah,
I do want to say we were drinking when we started watching this movie,
By the end, we weren't.
and we were not by the end. Yeah.
Why? Doesn't it amp you up to go to Vegas?
Yeah, really just wants to go. Yeah, we're supposed to be going to Vegas in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Half
And-
a Clue is going to Vegas. Not on Half a Clue business. We're just going to
I
Vegas.
know, yeah.
And,
Yeah, we're performing at the Bellagio. Yeah, so-
Carrot Top's opening for it.
oh, man, I wish.
but yeah, does this not get you guys amped for the next couple of weeks when we go to
it
Absolutely.
Vegas?
makes me want to
yeah.
question my life choices.
That's probably a good thing. I mean, in all seriousness, this movie does touch on a lot, a really dark subject matter all throughout. And it's a very powerful story, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's break down the plot really quick.
Or do you have history for us first?
No, I kind of thought we'd unfold it as we go along a little
Okay.
bit, but the basic plot is the story of Ben Sanderson, a screenwriter who, in the midst of losing everything, decides to drink himself to death in Las Vegas. Along the way, he meets Sarah, a prostitute played by Elizabeth Shue, and they form an unlikely yet profoundly moving connection. And that's essentially it. It's a very simple story, but it's it's all about it's a character study really of these two people, and it's tragic. It's partially based in reality. The writer of the original novel, John O'Brien, committed suicide 2 weeks into the beginning of the production of this film.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that this story was like his suicide note. So it's very I don't know. It's tragic in so many layers, and it really bleeds into the reality of it, like where this guy was really kind of I don't know, possibly living out his fantasy or something. But we could get into that a little bit later. So I don't know. General impressions. What did you guys first? How many? It's first time viewing for many of us. I don't know.
Yes. First time viewing.
I think
for
I'm
me.
the only one who's seen it previously.
Okay.
It was an amazing movie, but deeply troubling. Seeing Nicolas Cage's character go through all that was, not to the same extent, but I had a period of my life where I'm not ashamed to admit that I went through some stuff, and I, did go through a point in my life where, hey, alcohol and me should not have mixed. And looking back at this, I saw a lot of what could have beens, if I had continued down the path that I was on.
Jason, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I agree. I think it's just a great movie. But man, it is fucking relentless. It is rough. It is rough. And I think as Miles touched on, I think everyone knows an alcoholic or is
Yeah.
gone through something, and it's just so heartbreaking to watch it happen to someone you love, or even just watching a movie about it. It brings up fucking. It's hard. It's a hard movie to watch, but I also think in the same way I thought Mysterious Skin. I think it's important. It's an important movie, and it touches on things that are tough to talk about.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna fucking talk about it.
And I think it's something that Blake said during the movie about how, it's very realistic and it doesn't really glamorize,
No.
and that's kind of important. It's not what you would think when you originally read the Hollywood script. You think, oh, haha, it's going to be, funny. They're going to glamorize alcoholism. They really show dark.
A lot of
Well, no, sorry.
Sorry, let Blake talk. Yeah.
Because the first time, because I watched this maybe 4 years ago, something like that. I don't remember when, but I'd always heard about it. I feel like it's kind of a famous movie that most people have heard of. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, because I don't know. It's just, it's not Hollywood. It's not like a glamorization of this, because you hear the premise, right? Nicolas Cage goes to Las Vegas to drink himself to death, and he hires a prostitute to hang out with him while he does it. When I hear that, I picture a much more dumb movie. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Flight, which isn't a bad movie, but it's also a movie about an alcoholic. But
that's the I know what you're talking about.
Denzel Washington,
Yes,
the Back to the Future guy. What's his name?
Robert
Zemeckis movie.
Zemeckis.
It's not a bad movie, but like there's a point in the movie where he pours all his alcohol into like a toilet and he's like, I'm gonna get clean now, and it's like, that's a much more Hollywood like movie
That's not the way
version.
it fucking works.
No, in this movie you see the depths of hell. Like I always think of that shot when he first gets to the hotel, which is the whole year in, but he reads it as the whole you're in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that about this movie.
Well, I feel like it's a good point to get into the director's like vision for this film. Mike Figgis's approach to a raw and unflinching portrayal of an addiction and self-destruction. How do you think Figgs' like direction contributes to the film's somber tone and like emotionally kind of charged atmosphere? Because like you said, he really decides not to glamorize it at all. Like there is like some glamour, but it just feels like very hollow, and it's in the background a lot. I mean, just because of I think the setting of it just being in Vegas.
Because I think it does a good job of not glamorizing Vegas either.
No, but
it feels very dirty and gritty.
Yeah.
Well, it's a mixture, right? He's able to show great contrast because, and it combines well with Nicolas Cage's acting, which he had a huge range of, how he had to act in this film, because he was either too sober, too drunk, or just right? Because, those scenes where he was just right, if you noticed, the colors were slightly nicer. Everything felt a little bit softer. It felt more relaxed. And then when he was too drunk, it was very dark, very gritty. And when he was not drunk enough, it was very sterile in the look of how it was shot. And I think that, combining that together, it all kind of worked out to create this really nice atmosphere. Now, this doesn't hold true for every single scene, but just in general, you could kind of feel his mood within the lighting and the way that things were filmed and where he was and how dingy things looked.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of it, like just, I think we can get more specifically like into like the setting of it and stuff, like the actual setting of being Las Vegas and what that really means and everything. But like, I think overall, I think he gave a very naturalistic approach to these two people. And I think someone like Nick Cage, who most people think of as very like over the top and, like usually very exaggerated, he feels really restrained at times, but like in a good way. Like when he's, again, like you said, he does have like that kind of wide array, right? Where when he's super like, when it's over the top, it feels like necessary. And I think Elizabeth Shue's performance is also like so good. It's from her like, small monologue moments, which we can dive more into that later too, like thematically and everything. But like, I don't know. There's a lot going on. I think this it's just the way he decides to like place have the camera set up in certain shots where it feels like still, but also like the camera feels like it kind of tilts at a certain point. There's like one point, I think around the first time he picks her up, the camera kind of drifts a little bit, like to the left, to the right. It feels a little off kilter. I think that's totally intentional to show kind of his head at and everything. I don't know. It's good.
Also, the 8mm really complements the kind of look.
Yeah.
Like it's got this very grainy, almost blurry ness to it, which I think works because, given the subject matter, like that's probably how this dude sees the world, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It also contrasts very well, I think, with the bright colors of Vegas. I enjoyed the direction of this movie a lot. That's a good catch, Ronald.
Okay, so we can kind of go into like the writing, I guess, and the structure of the movie. It's based off of the book. I just want to read this quote from Erin O'Brien, who was John Bryan's sister. After he passed, she said she thought the book was, quote, like the beautiful poetic way to check out, taking the long slug of liquor and gurgling into his death with his beautiful woman. Many people said that they thought it was like a suicide note, right? Like this was kind of his goodbye, like almost like his fantasy idea of something like this happening. I think there's something really to that. Obviously, I think it's like, he took his life not too long afterwards. I don't know. How do you guys feel like the minimalist plot kind of it helps kind of focus in on like Ben and Sarah and their relationship and stuff.
I feel like with such a, like you said, minimalist plot, it gave a great opportunity for character studies of two people, both going through different types of trauma. One of them, knows that he's an alcoholic, but doesn't care and just, wants it to be over with. He wants to, live out his last days doing what he does. And then, she's a prostitute, and honestly, like, she's not, her pimp was pretty much like a pretty shitty dude.
Yeah.
Pretty much a pretty shitty dude.
I don't know how to phrase it. No, he was an asshole. But you see that one scene where the person's looking at her back, and he cuts her there, right? Because it doesn't show on her face, and you see how much she cares for this guy, and then when he dies, that's kind of when she fully goes over to wanting to have somebody to care for, right? She needs a purpose, right? Because she doesn't want to just do the, be a prostitute for herself. It feels like she kind of wants to have a purpose to life outside of that. And if she's just doing it for herself to support herself, then she doesn't have anything else.
Do you know what really stuck out to me on this rewatch? There's a shot when they're at the Desert Inn or whatever, like the motel. There's a shot where Nicolas Cage jumps into the water and he's drinking a bottle of booze underwater, and then she jumps down and she's with him, and I was like, that's kind of what this movie is, right? It's they're both drowning and he knows it, but she kind of mistakenly or stubbornly believes she can save both of them.
Maybe. Yeah. I think there's really something to her, she really is kind of just along for the ride. It feels like I don't think she ever really is thinking I'm gonna save this guy.
She does get to a point. She gets to a point where in the latter half of the movie where she says, "Hey, I think you should see a doctor."
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Because his fucking one requirement for staying with her was, you can never tell me to stop drinking.
Yeah.
And the second she does that, or suggests maybe you should get a little bit of help, that's when he kind of just fucking destroys their relationship, you know, or attempts to. It's very sad.
Well, the second hooker. Well, what do you guys think I
was going to say, I think she also sees potentially, during certain parts of the relationship, she sees his expiration date as her expiration date as well, right? For her time to make changes to her life that she's holding off on.
Yeah,
right?
he's
where
also...
She knows that being a prostitute's not good for her, and she knows that she needs to get out of the business. You can see she's getting older, and, she's having a harder time picking up men, and it's getting tougher and tougher for her, and she's starting to associate with rougher and rougher crowds. Just in order to perform her job. And she knows that her time's running out as well with that. And that, I think that there's credence to that too, with the monologue that she has at the end where she's talking, oh yeah, both of us are.
Well, I was going to add, what do you guys think the monologue, or her kind of voiceover, her speaking to somebody, whether it's a therapist, herself, or who knows what do you think that
at
really...
the funeral?
I mean, maybe. What do you think that really adds to this story? Because that initially wasn't supposed to be there.
It was test footage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was the original test footage for her, for Elizabeth Shue, but the director decided to keep it in. What do you think it lends to this movie? Do you think it helps elevate a lot of it?
I think it gives it more of a hopeful end to it, because it feels like she's in therapy, which is, good.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. I always saw it as being a good way to kind of provide exposition for,
it does
her mental
kind of ground
state,
the movie,
right? Because she doesn't wear her heart on her sleeve the same way that Nicolas Cage's character does, right? Where it's not always obvious to tell what she's thinking or what she's feeling. So having these moments where she's kind of talking, directly to another person or to us as the audience, right, through using those monologues, it really gives us insight into, how her character actually feels about the situation that she's in. Yeah, and it makes her feel more real and less like she's, just manipulating or using Nicolas Cage.
I think for me, the best line that she gives there, that gives, because it does offer insight, like you're saying, right? Like it offers a lot of insight to how Sarah is feeling about everything that's happening, it's unfolding before where her head's at and stuff. But I think the part where she says like her biggest strength is that she can walk into a room and she kind of becomes whatever that person needs, whatever that guy needs. She can become that for them. And when she runs into Nick Cage, she immediately knows what this person is, but also she kind of needs what he needs, and also she feels like she's herself too at the same time. And that, I think those two things lining up goes really far to explain why she would stick around with this person. I think there's a lot of I think most people would obviously tap out. She has a lot of other shit going on with her life, and there's a whole other aspect to that too. But I feel like that kind of shows the best thing, where it's like she becomes the person that he needs, which is maybe who she kind of feels like she is on the inside at that time, or maybe how she really is. And I feel like that's very beautiful.
I think one of the other things that attracts her to Nicolas Cage's character is that he's broken but safe, right? Because you see throughout the film that, he's a broken person, and she's definitely the type of person who likes to fix broken people. But he's also a very
dangerous world.
Yeah,
right?
But he's also a safe person because she can read him. She knows, he's an alcoholic, right? He's got all these fucking problems, but he's not the kind of guy that's ever going to hit me, right? He's not the kind of guy that's ever going to hurt me.
Mm-hmm. So I think we can move now to like the themes and symbolism, and there's, I think, tons of symbolism throughout this movie. But let's start off with like some of the themes of like, how do you think this film portrays addiction as both like a physical and psychological experience?
Horrifyingly.
Yeah. I feel like it's focused on showing the physical aspect of like withdrawal from alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying. Yeah, like it's like I feel we've seen other films kind of show that, like where people get like the shakes or like they feel shitty, but it's like this dude literally cannot function.
Yeah, like he can't
drinking.
sign the check at the bank.
Yeah,
or the scene after the he has like his mental breakdown at the casino when he's like crawling to like the kitchen and just like drinking like the vodka and the orange juice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he's like throwing up and shit. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's pretty like I said, it's not your Hollywood glamorized alcoholic. It's horrifying.
Yeah, there is sometimes like it's like alcoholism is always usually shown. It's like really fucked up and it's sad. But yeah, there is kind of a bit of a glamour to it of just being like, I'm just my life's getting thrown away and I'm just I don't care about anything or anybody. But it really just shows like how much it hurts yourself, everybody. It's like there's so much going on.
Let's
and
look
the
at another
opening as well. I think is really important when he's like he goes to see his friends and his friends are they just had enough. He gets fired from his job, and like you could tell everyone is very hurt by it because there was a point in time where they loved this guy and they still do, but like with alcoholics at a certain point, like the best thing for you to do is to step away because like if you continue to have them in their lives when they're like that, they're going to you're basically just enabling them.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up, sorry, really quick, that's okay. On that same note where you mentioned how everyone seems to like him, my favorite aspect of Nicolas Cage's performance is the fact, and this is something you brought up too, that he has a just right like kind of level. I really like in his performance that you get these like hints of like remnants of like someone he used to be, right? Like when he lights her cigarette all smoothly at the restaurant, or when he's like when he's just more chipper and alive. Like you really see these remnants of someone that he was before the alcohol kind of destroyed him.
The potential.
Yeah, and I really like that aspect of his performance.
And it's very realistic too, right? Yeah. And I think that that's his biggest issue that he has, is that he has that point where he's just right, where he feels like himself, right? Where he feels like he can conquer the world. And if he's any less drunk than that, he is
miserable.
He's unable to function.
Yeah.
Right. And then when he gets more drunk than that, he's able to function. So it's safe for him, or at least he feels like it's safe for him because he can still function. He's just kind of a little bit too much for people.
So there's like I think a a bit of a question that comes a lot from this movie, especially near the end, of like choice versus the inevitability, right? Like, is Ben's fate sealed from the start, or do you think he still has some manner of control? Like, could he have altered the ending of this? Could he have chosen a different path or anything? Or do you think that at this point it was too far gone?
He didn't want it. That's the problem.
It just comes down to what he wanted. Obviously, if he decided he wanted to get help and to get better, I think he could have. But I think he's just fucking done, man. He's just done.
And what did he even have to live for at that point? Because like
that's a big part of it too, right? It's the beginning.
It's
you
tough.
see him really destroying the remnants of his own life, and then when he goes to stay with Sarah, he destroys even what little bit he had left. He was like, I just have the clothes that's on my back, essentially, and that's it.
But even then, he no longer enjoyed food.
We never see him
he didn't,
eat.
That's
he
an
didn't want to have
alcoholic
sex.
thing. That's an
No,
alcoholism
no,
thing.
it is. It definitely is. But alcohol had taken his life to such a precipice that backing down to him, like, it just didn't make sense. And all of his chemicals were so messed up that, you know, because that's what alcohol does. It messes with your bodily chemicals that he couldn't function.
The eating thing specifically, I think that is a real thing, right? Like, if you're a hardcore alcoholic, your stomach doesn't process food right anymore. So like they don't like to eat because it hurts.
Yeah. No, and I mean, there's things like with him not eating, and, you know, part of that is also, is he not eating because he gets more enjoyment out of food, and his body just adjusted to that because he would spend money on booze instead of food, right?
Yeah.
And the different flavors, you know, don't function for him anymore the same. There's a lot of complex things that were discussed in this film, and I think that it's one of the better portrayals of alcoholism that I've seen. And even if, like, you look at another movie like The Hangover, right? Also in Las Vegas.
Very similar movie. Very similar movie.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, I'm really showing like, hey, you know, a lot of times when alcoholism is portrayed, it's portrayed as not being a problem, right? Or, oh, look how wild and kooky these guys are because they got way too
oftentimes
drunk.
in movies, alcoholics, especially if they're a side character, are kind of played for laughs a lot of times. And I think that's kind of fucked up.
I mean, I think it says a lot about what people want to believe about alcohol generally. Like, we had the whole, like, you know, oh my God, what am I thinking of right now? When we stopped the prohibition and everything, there's a point when alcoholism in, like, the country was so bad that everyone was like, hey, maybe we should stop alcohol altogether because it's, you know, causing all this shit. So I feel like now we kind of almost want to justify that it's still around. I think people are willing to, like, overlook a lot of the negative aspects of it. I mean, alcohol it can be very fun, but it's like anything else. It takes
I mean, just look at the way
right?
it's fucking marketed, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's parties.
Yeah.
Good times. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they never show the morning after a party where you're just like, fuck.
Well,
Yeah,
and one of the biggest problems with alcohol, and I'm going to speak from experience here because there was a period of time where I was surrounded by friends who drank a lot, right? And I had quit drinking entirely for a year, right? Because I was like, you know what? I just need to change my life, put a stop to this, you know, be hard on it and just do it, right? Now, I can drink and it's not really something that controls me anymore. But back then,
That's great.
it really did. But when I go out, you know, I would try to do the same things. I would try to go to the same places and hang out with the same people. And even though I wasn't judgmental about it, right, about not drinking, there was judgment about me not drinking, you know, which was weird. And it's like, you know, that's the culture we kind of live in sometimes, it feels like.
It reminds me of a Norm Macdonald bit because he was sober for most of his life for various reasons, but he was like there's nothing that like alcohol or people that drink like hate more than someone who's not drinking. He's like, you know, it's like if he goes to a bar and he's like the designated driver or something, he's like just like hanging around a bunch of people that are like drunk or drinking, and someone's like, hey man, can I get you a drink? It's like, oh, I'm not drinking, and they're like, what? Like, what's your problem? What the fuck? And he's like, I don't know. I think there's something about it, like it's, you know, people say social drinking and stuff, but that exists for a reason, right? We like to like kind of be on the same level with everybody. And there's almost like if someone isn't partaking or something, you almost feel like what are they like? What do they think? Are they judging me or something? It's like I really cannot be that. Sometimes it's just your own self reflection and stuff. Yeah, it can be really tough.
Can I ask a plot question for you all really quick?
Yeah.
Because you brought this up, but I think it goes deeper than what you're talking about. In your guys' opinion, why do you think he refuses to have sex with her until the end of the movie?
Because he's impotent from alcohol.
I think that's a big one. I think at the end, I think ultimately Sarah represents I think she's like an angel. I think she's essentially like the angel.
He says
of
that
death,
multiple times,
right? Yeah, so he's like the angel of death, and I think their final love scene is essentially like her kiss of death, where he's like he decides to like really pass on. And in that moment, he dies like right after and everything. So I think there's a lot of holding that back. And I think that's why eventually when he kind of hooks up with the other hooker lady, it's like a distraction. Like she's kind of like, she's a fake out almost. And he's like, I don't know.
Well, that was just a
move.
Destructive thing that he purposely did that. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. He pushes her away.
She got to the point where,
he wanted her.
She was going to do everything that like everyone else in his life had done, which is to get him to stop drinking. And he said, "Okay, I got to end this. I can't do it."
Yeah.
But also, I think one of the reasons why he doesn't have sex with her is kind of like, she's his angel, right?
Yeah.
Like he sees her, despite what she does, and how her life has gone. He sees her as just this innocent, like perfect thing, and he doesn't want to corrupt her.
Well, even her name, Sarah. Sorry, really quick. It's like you could say it's a short version of seraphim, which is like a type of angel, like and usually they're
it's spelled that way too.
Yeah, it's like they're often described as like standing in for the presence of God and stuff. So it's like, was she just meant to be like this higher force presence? That just, I think it's like how he sees her, right? He calls her the angel. She has the angel painting and everything. Like she's kind of helping him pass on, she's like almost guiding him onto the next life and everything. But even she has that breaking moment where she's like, fuck, like, I don't know, like it hurts.
I mean, who wouldn't have that moment?
Another way to look at it is, what were his past relationships like, right? Because we look at it, his wife left him obviously, but it seems like all the encounters that he had had sexually, at least since then, had been of a very fleeting nature where it was, a one night mistake or something like that. And he felt that, the second that he finished, it ended.
Yeah.
And he didn't want things to end with her. He wanted to keep them going. Right. And that's why he held off on it as long as possible. Right. And, even then you see him, saving money, selling more stuff, like trying to last longer in his march towards death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point.
Yeah. All good points, all three of you. Wow.
Okay, so I think we can get more into the symbolism here. So Las Vegas as like a symbol in itself.
City.
It's a Sin City. I just kind of want to read this quote that I read from someone who read the book in their review for it. It's just basically that they're swallowed by an artificial city whose main occupation is amusement and thriving on activities that are illegal in other states. Las Vegas is like the cupboard where you push all the mess in and attempt to let your guests think your apartment is clean and tidy. But Ben and Sarah also find acceptance in Las Vegas. Here in the cupboard of America, nobody pays attention to them. Nobody judges them. They have a right to be. That's from Emma from bookaroundthecorner.com. But I think I think it kind of shows an underlying difference between, I guess, Vegas in the book versus in the movie. Because in the movie, it definitely does not feel like Vegas is accepting of them.
No.
In fact, they're getting pushed out a lot.
They get kicked out of like every place they go to, basically.
Yeah.
The side characters are very alive in this. Speaking of like the Vegas folk, like her neighbors, that guy at like the mall who's like talking Nicolas Cage.
Dude, that guy's a homie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what's he say? He's like, you should. Why? Because look at her. She really wants you to.
Yeah, he's like, dude, like, hold up, please.
But they essentially get kicked out of every establishment they go to, right?
Yeah, even the desert place, the lady has one line, and it's like a very powerful line.
She says we get a lot of fuck ups here.
Yeah,
that's probably...
She was so fucking mean, dude.
She was, yeah.
That's probably like one of my favorite scenes because everything leading up to it is like, you know, he's pouring alcohol on her. It's literally what he was explaining he wanted to do
Yes.
Yeah.
earlier.
I thought about that.
His fantasy is like peaking right there. He's maybe gonna go and like make love to her like right then and there, and then he just trips and shatters the table and it all comes crashing down. Just you remember how fucked up this situation is, and then the lady comes in, you know, and is like, hey, like, all right, like, get your shit and get out as soon as you can, you know. Well, once you're done, like, get out. And yeah, just kind of show. I feel like it really captures a lot of the theme of it. Like they're lost in that moment, and it's really kind of beautiful and sweet, you know. And like there's like the sunset going down and everything, but ultimately, it's just tragic. Like it's like you remember the context of everything, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a really fucked up situation. Like this is just sad. And yeah,
This whole movie's sad, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
The really interesting thing is like if you look at it from, you know, an outside perspective, Nicolas Cage is the one who's fucking everything up, and he is he's basically closing these doors on Elizabeth Shue's character, right?
Yeah.
You know, never come back, right? He's narrowing her world down to his size through all of these fuck ups and screw ups that he does. You know, he's already basically been kicked out of Los Angeles, right?
And they're basically getting kicked out of Vegas again and everything. But for the most part, the only place they really do find solace is with each other, right? Like that's the whole thing, is they're both just completely accepting of each other. You know, again, yes, she does have a breaking point, but even then she still accepts him back, unlike I'm sure everybody else. And yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you think Vegas is a metaphor for Ben's spiraling life? Does the setting enhance the themes of the film? The bright lights, the empty promises, desperation.
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 I feel like this movie actually really could have been done anywhere personally, but
I
don't
think
know.
it works very well with Vegas because like Vegas, the juxtaposition of Vegas is very similar to the juxtaposition of alcohol, right? It's fun. You could have a great time, but too much of like the Vegas lifestyle. I know people live in like Las Vegas, the city, and they live normal lives, but like if you're living on the fucking strip, constantly gambling, drinking, drugs, like it will eat you alive. In the same way as alcohol. It can be fun, could be great, but it'll eventually get you.
Also, just the visual aspect works so well. Like I said, that 8mm camera with the bright lights of Vegas and how it captures it, but it captures it with that 8mm grain. It just really gives this whole movie that vibe of like, man, you're seeing behind the curtain, right? Because it does, I think it does depict, it doesn't glamorize Vegas at all. It gives Vegas this very like dirty and gritty, real look.
Yeah, really.
Which
kind of,
most movies don't do.
No, they strip away a lot of the like the veneer that like the varnish that comes with what you expect Vegas, what they advertise as Vegas a lot as. It's like, you know, oh, it's like bright lights, it's fun, clubbing and stuff. It's just like, I don't know. It's like, I was kind of expecting at some point that like, da 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 da, like, you know, big lights, like, you know, going across the strip kind of feel, but it's like, it always feels like, you know, they say like, you know, like when you're right on the fringes of the strip where everything kind of just feels like it's leaking out into the desert almost. And it feels a little like, like it's not exactly finished constructing. It kind of, you really see like the farce that is a lot of the casinos and shit, where it's like you kind of see almost behind them, and it's like, yeah, it just feels like a fake. Like, you know, it's like when you go to Disneyland and you kind of take a look behind the props and you're just like, oh yeah, this is fake. I know it's not a real castle, but like it's a little bit like that, where it's just like you kind of get that ugliness that exists beyond it. I don't know. I think that's just really well done. I'm gonna disagree with you, Miles. I think this film could have only really take place in Vegas. Okay, do you guys want to get into the characters here specifically? Like, so Ben Sanderson, Nick Cage, and his performance. What do you think Nick Cage like brings to this role?
He's incredible.
Yeah.
I think this is the first movie I've ever seen where like it does have, you know, the Nicolas Cage freakouts, but it's simply just not funny here.
No.
I typically always laugh at Nick Cage freakouts, but like that.
The casino scene.
The casino scene, also like when he goes back to the bank for the second time and he's like on his fucking like tape
Pager.
recorder and like he's just being really manic and crazy. It's just so fucking.
Why does he have
sad.
the freak out at the casino? I know that's like not really important.
I think they cut him off.
Maybe, yeah, I think so. Like
Mhm.
she's like he's gonna look like he wants to maybe order another drink, and I'm assuming they cut him off, and he starts screaming like he's like, I'm his father. It's like we're the only time he acknowledges that he has a son out there, because I think they show only twice. You see like him burning the photo,
yeah.
and that's the only time he actually mentions something. So whatever. Again, we're talking about him balancing out his alcoholism. He definitely feels like that's where he was like really bottoming out there, and it just unlocked the reality. You know, he kind of snapped back to the. Sorry, it's burnt. That's a dramatic moment. But like this like terrible reality. Again, it's like he's constantly thinking about it probably, but he's never saying it. And in this moment, just explodes out of him, and it's like fuck. And it's so ugly. Like you're saying, it's like a Nick Cage freak out. It can be funny. It can be goofy. It can feel kind of out of place, but it can be like work. This just feels so tragic, and it's like God. I don't know.
Well, I will say this performance from Nicolas Cage, it really seems like it's him at his youngest, most naive, most innocent feeling of any of the characters that I've seen from him. Right? He's got innocent in the terms of like, he doesn't really like see the world for the dinginess that it has, right? He sees everything kind of through rose-colored glasses, even though he's killing himself. You know, you hear him and he's always talking, especially when he's speaking with Elizabeth Shue. Like she suggests, oh yeah, like I could blow you. And he's like, oh, like a little kid would almost, right? Very childish in his manner.
Yeah, there's that moment where he's like kind of giddy, like, oh gee, I don't know.
Yeah, and that happens a few times. And you see that side of him where it's like, it feels like he's not accustomed to the reality of what's going on in her life, and that he's kind of disconnected
I think it's
from
just
it.
that he's just accepted it, and like it doesn't matter. Speaking of that, what's that one line where he's like, "I can get you prime rib. There's a special $2.99."
$2.99 for prime rib.
Oh my god, yeah, Nicolas Cage is so fucking good in this, dude.
Yeah, no, it's there are a lot of moments where it's like you kind of want to laugh just to like break the tension and the tragedy, and I think that's why Nick Cage was so perfect for this.
Well, that's what I mean. I really like that aspect of it, that he has the remnants of his older self.
Yeah.
Because there are those moments where he's a little more smooth and he's kind of like almost goofy.
Yeah.
You could see like his past self. It's hard to laugh though, because it's always miserable, but
yeah. It's like a nervous laughter. Again.
Yeah.
One of those like,
But also, it feels like he never learned how to grow up, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's a common thing with
Yeah.
alcoholics. They say like you don't mentally age when you're drinking like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about Elizabeth Shue as Sarah? It's a very complex character. There's like kind of a trope of like, the prostitute with the heart of gold or that kind of shit, right? They were like Mary Magdalene kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. How do you guys view her? How do you think she kind of like goes beyond that kind of trope? She's like, what do you guys feel?
Her character really fluctuates for me throughout the film, right? Because sometimes it seems like she's using him for herself, and sometimes it feels like she's genuinely like wanting to try to help him or be there for him. But it feels like almost symbiotic a little bit, where she needs him just as much as he needs her, or at least she thinks that she needs him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
she's like I'm struggling to come up with a better term, but she's a people pleaser, right? Like she needs to like help, and she wants to fix,
Or she needs to be around somebody who's worse off than she is.
I think that might paint her in a negative light. I don't think that's what's happening.
She's not an entirely positive character, right? There is a negative light to be painted. I mean, there's a dichotomy to both these characters. They have their good side and their bad side, right?
I
never found
look
any
at that.
like
Yeah.
I don't know, ill intent in
She
her,
might be
I
an
think.
angel, but she ain't a saint. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, in that regard, though, they're both using each other, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
This is a very misery loves company kind of situation.
Yeah.
Where they're these two lost people that are clinging on to each other, and they kind of need each other. But I don't think she's. Yeah, I agree with Jason. Like, there's no ill intent. I don't think.
Well, I never said there
and I
was
don't-
ill intent. I'm just saying that she.
Why are you saying there's ill intent, dude?
Why are you saying what the fuck, dude?
No, I'm just saying
selfish.
that
Why do you
she's
think she's
using
an awful
him
human being, dude? What the hell?
because I don't know. Because look at her past relationship with her boyfriend
Yeah, she was
slash
really using that guy.
no slash
Okay,
pimp.
sorry.
Like
That
why
poor pimp, dude.
no, but why was she going to him? Right? He wasn't, there to support her. He,
I
he-
think
like,
she'd been with him for a long time.
I
I
think-
think he references like he found her on the streets of LA when she was like
Yeah.
16.
It
Yeah.
seems almost like he followed her out there to Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got the vibe that
It's a weird
this is like they
situation.
just reconnected almost.
Yeah.
But I might be wrong. But it felt like she had somehow gotten away from him, maybe going to Vegas, and then he like kind of tracks her down, especially because he looks like he's in a lot of need for money and everything. And yeah, I don't know. I think how do you guys feel his character really informs Sarah, right? Because like you're saying, she's coming out of this like very dark past, and she's in a currently very dark present. But like I don't know, what do you think his death? Because presumed death, kind of seems like he's probably dead, right?
I think he was too short-lived in the movie, unfortunately.
Really?
I feel like so we got 3 scenes total with him, right? And in each
roughly.
scene, he was a totally different person. So what you could see is that he was definitely manic, right? And at the end,
He
you could
definitely
see
does
that,
look like
that
he's-
he kind of gave up, and he's like, it's too late now, right? And that was his end. He was giving up at the end there. That's why he told her to leave, right? Because
Seems like
he realized, hey, you can't save me. And that gave her permission to go save somebody else. But in order to really like look at his character in depth, I don't think that we're given enough to work off of, other than he was abusive and he was a piece of shit.
He was
and
in a lot of debt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really liked that he went away fairly early.
Yeah.
because because it's my first time watching. I don't know if I said that at some point, but like I was expecting him to be like a main antagonist or
Same.
something.
Yeah, and that would have been dumb.
And I was like not looking forward to that. I
You're
was like,
Nicolas Cage was gonna have to drunkenly fight him.
yeah, I was like, I thought something stupid was gonna happen later, but no, when he just like basically dies right off screen, I was like, oh shit. And then it just really just zeroes in on these 2 characters, and you're just following them, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is actually really good. I actually really liked that a lot.
I kind of like his short inclusion. It almost reminds me of like, because the movie opens and we don't have a title card until later, until after
yeah,
he
it's
goes.
like 25 minutes in or something.
And then
Not
there's
really
a shot of a building, and then we get the inside of the building, and that's the introduction of Sarah, and I think his name is Yuri, right?
Sure.
Something like that. We get Sarah and her pimp. It almost reminds me of like the beginning of Psycho with like the zoom in
Yeah.
on the window. Like it feels like we're just zooming in on a random crazy shit going on in Vegas. So it works for me that he's just a small part of the beginning to really set up the story.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely. I'm just saying that you don't really get a full feel for his character and how he's really influenced her to a full extent. And there's a lot of areas where you have to wonder.
But this
right?
movie
And
refuses
she's
to give you backstory on either
Well,
of
yeah,
them.
no,
Yeah, which-
there's a lot of mystery around both of them. Yeah.
I really like that though, because I feel like you don't necessarily need it. Like there's a like you see everything they need to know, and it also really informs what they know about each other and how much they're like, I don't really care about what you've been through, where you've been, or whatever. Like I just want to enjoy being with you right now. Right now, that's what's most important in this moment, especially because he's like, I'm gonna fucking die. Like, do you really need to know about my wife and my son? No, but you just know that like I come from a very dark place, and I've come to this point in my life, the end of it, and I just want to basically be with somebody or be with something beautiful in my final moments. And I don't know, it's a lot of this movie has very sweet moments where I've kind of found myself, I'm like, wow, this is like it's a dark romance in like every sense, where it's like it's actually very sweet and kind of a tender film at times. It feels very raw, and I feel like a lot of their relationship just exemplifies it is that essentially, where it's like, oh man, I don't know, I think it's kind of hopeful, but it's just tragic. But anyway, sorry, I'm
Do you guys think that their lack of backstory is one of the reasons why they're so easy to connect with as characters and to see yourself in, or see like a version of yourself that could have been in?
Kind of, yeah. Like, I mean, it just lets you fills in the blank, right? So you just kind of figure you just plug in whatever you imagine. And I think their actions throughout the film kind of really help show what kind of people they most likely, what kind of people they are. Just like, you could have seen Nick Cage. Like, I thought he was going to really do something really terrible at some point in the movie and be like, oh yeah, this guy's such a real piece of shit or something.
He never does, though.
Yeah, he really doesn't. I mean,
he breaks stuff sometimes, but he's like, yeah, I'm probably gonna break stuff, but that's just because I'm a fucking drunk.
It really just pictures him more as just a sympathetic and like really just tragic character.
It's like what Blake said. Like, you can very much see who Nick Cage or Ben would be, who he would be if he wasn't an alcoholic. And I think the same is true for Sarah. You can see the type of person she is and who she could be if she wasn't in that lifestyle. It's very sad.
All right, I think we could now move into talking about the music and the score, because man, does this have such an effective score. It was done by Mike Figgis, who's the director. He composed it and actually played most the trumpet and the keyboard throughout the music, and most of the songs are the vocals are performed by Sting. How do you guys feel the moody jazz pieces and the those somber vocals really underscore the film?
Yeah, it just fits very well. It's perfect. It's a perfect score for this film.
Yeah, I was very surprised to find out that he did it himself.
Yeah, me too. When I read that, I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. I like when people take on multiple roles.
Yeah, he wrote, directed, and did the music. It's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like that. Yeah, it's again really shows how multifaceted this guy's. I tried looking up more movies by him, and I couldn't really find any, or at least none that were notable or ones that kind of people talk about.
Yeah,
I might be wrong.
He's done a lot of shorts as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's another good film in his filmography, or he might be one of those people who just really just hit the mark in one good film. But I don't know. This is for you, listeners. If you know another good Mike Figgis film, can you please write it down? Because I'm curious, but also I don't feel like watching 10 bad movies or something. So just let me know,
just
please.
Assuming his movies are all bad.
I don't know. I really don't. So I'm asking. Just tell me. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. What? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts, Miles, on the music or anything?
I think that the music was effective in the fact that it's not super memorable for me. It really felt like it blended into the environment that they were in. A lot of
that's
times,
kind of the best score, though.
Yeah.
Is when it just
it feels atmospheric and it doesn't take over any of the scenes, right?
Yeah.
It feels like it's combined with their emotions and the state that they're feeling.
Yeah,
right?
again, because talking about how it juxtaposed with Vegas. Vegas is usually the bam, 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 big brassy sounds, like Frank Sinatra and kind of Elvis or whatever. It's Vegas has a very loud and known musical identity with it, right? And it just contradicts it really hard with a somber jazz and really long drawn out notes, which really kind of highlight where Nick Cage's character is at mentally or physically or whatever. So yeah, I don't know if it fits. It fits surprisingly well. You don't really think of jazz as a Vegas thing. That's New York or I don't know, New Orleans or something.
Chicago maybe even.
Yeah, but it's Vegas, no, because nobody wants to be sad in Vegas. No, not saying that jazz is just sad, but but it's still it's I don't know. It's very. I think again, it's a great juxtaposition where it's flash bright lights and whatever, but it's just
somber jazz music.
Somber jazz. And Sting, I think Sting's such a great job of really singing. He's kind of really the perfect choice for this too. I don't know. I think his vocals are very well really capture the feeling what's going on. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I don't know. You guys have any lasting thoughts? What do you guys think about the ending of the movie? It's
fucking tragic.
What do you think? Leaving
Super
Las
sad.
Vegas really means? Is it self-determination? Is it Ben simply succumbing to his fate? Is it Sarah deciding to leave Las Vegas at the end? Do you think how do you guys feel her character what do you think she's basically takes away from this at the end of the day?
Like I said, I find it hopeful that it appears that she's talking to her therapist. So I've always hoped that she's in like another city at the end talking to her therapist, but it's hard to say for sure. It's left pretty open-ended.
Yeah, I don't know. The ending, it's melancholic, but it's not necessarily what I would call a sad ending. You know, it's
kind of hopeful, right? Like,
yeah, it's weird because even though, you know, Ben obviously dies at the end of the movie, spoilers, but yeah, but it feels like he accomplished his goal, and it feels like he's kind of at peace now. Like the same way that, like, you know, sometimes they talk about, like, if you've got a loved one that's going through like very serious dementia or cancer and stuff like that, it's like when they finally do pass away, it's, you know, it's not something to necessarily be sad about. It's like, well, you know, they lived a good life and now they're not in pain anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And it felt almost like that with Ben's death.
Yeah. It's definitely kind of that, like you know, kind of putting himself out of his misery and whatever. It's like sometimes, yeah, I thought it was a hard thing to say, but like sometimes, you know, it's just better to let go, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's about learning. I think it's more just accepting letting go. Someone just made this choice, and that's it's rough, dude. I don't know, but I don't know. There is a weird optimismness to it. Again, it's kind of like that the love story. The ending also kind of reminded me of the ending of the show Primal, which I know none of you guys have seen. But,
Yeah,
but
I watched Primal.
You
with
watched Primal? Dude,
yeah, I thought I watched it with you.
Did you watch season 2? The ending of season 2? There's.
I thought it was a movie. The one with the dinosaur and the guy.
Yes.
Okay, I watched the movie thing with you. Yeah.
There's a season 2.
Okay.
And the ending.
Don't spoil
I guess
it.
I don't want to spoil it, but like if you have seen it, maybe you know what you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's a very similar, like, bittersweet ending, and apparently they're gonna have another season, which is wild to me. But whatever. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that, where it's like this girl Sarah, just kind of harkening back to her being like this figure, like stand-in for death. She kind of gives him those last moments. He finally is able to, like, be with her physically, like, to completion, and it's just signs off. I don't know.
Going into this, did you guys expect him to die? Like, or did you expect it to have a different ending? Just out of curiosity.
I think just knowing, like I've heard a lot about this movie and how fucked up and sad and miserable it is. Yeah. So I expected him to die. Like,
I didn't expect.
I don't think it would be talked about in that way had he, like, gotten sober at the end, and, you know.
I didn't expect him to die on his own terms, right? Because he died drunk off his ass the way that he wanted to die. Just, you know, in bed, finally, just his body gives out, right? I thought that he was going to get into a tragic car accident or get into a fight and get stabbed and die like that, or something where it was like more like a violent death instead of such a peaceful death.
I was expecting, like, again, I think if this was a lesser film, they could have done something like that. Like, I was, again, early on, I was first seeing, because I did expect him to die. I was like, this feels like it's one of those films that wouldn't cop out of him, like, not dying. But early on with, like, the pimp, I was like, all right, he's going to fight this guy off, and then he's going to die, like, while he's, like, you know, saves her, protects her from the pimp. And I think that would have been a much cheaper movie. Like, given to the wrong person, they would have done something like that.
I love what you said, where you were worried at first, like, oh no.
Yeah, I like, again, my first thought, I was like, oh, God, this is gonna, like, I feel like I see where this is going or something. But no, it really didn't. And
no, that dude gets his head blown off in a hotel room.
Yeah, probably. And it's I think it's a very fitting end, and it's, again, it's like the perfect way to cap it off, you know.
Very somber.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Maybe Mike Figgis will direct a movie called Arriving to Las Vegas, where Nicolas Cage's son comes to investigate the circumstances of his death.
Or just to collect his body. Yeah,
it's been perfectly preserved on that motel bed.
Sarah put it in the hotel freezer.
No, he accidentally gets left in the morgue because nobody really cares about him. And then finally, like they find him just like in the morgue freezer, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And then they finally contact his next of kin, and it's his son. And his son comes to pick him up, and while he's there, he learns the joys of drinking, just like his father.
Oh yeah, that's
Dear old papa.
Mike Vegas, make it happen. Arriving to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think just last note. I think the quote that Sarah says when she first meets, what's his face, Ben, I think is very interesting. She says like, "You stop, I walk." Do you think that like resonates with the ending of the film?
Oh. I didn't
year,
notice
Ronnie.
that, but yeah, that's a good note.
Look at you, my big boy, catching everything.
You know what?
Somebody's
I'm gonna
smart.
give. I wish I thought of that, but no, that was Rosie. Shout out to Rosie.
Good job, Rosie.
Congratulations.
She's the brains behind this operation.
Yeah, I
for real.
believe that more and more every day.
Ron just
Yeah.
wears
Yeah.
a Bluetooth.
For now on, from now on, for my own integrity, I'm just not gonna.
She's over there just whispering into a mic the whole time, telling
You
Ron
just have a
what to say.
Bluetooth mic in your ear.
But no, yeah, I feel like that's just I think that really caps off like her ending. I think that's what ultimately really helps give me hope for the end, where I'm like, she goes out, she finds a better life someplace, and she hopefully leaves this all behind.
Yeah.
Goes to live in Nebraska. I
This
don't know,
is just in
someplace else.
between Karate Kid and Cobra Kai.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she goes off and starts a school to teach kids karate someplace. Okay, I don't know. Do you guys want final thoughts? Wrapping up.
We talked a lot about it.
Yeah,
we really
I
did.
think that we
It's
kind of
good.
covered all of our
I
thoughts.
think we all like it.
Go
It's
watch
good.
the
Watch
movie.
it. It's
I mean,
miserable.
trigger warning for this movie, I think.
Yes.
If like you've gone through or you've seen people go through heavy alcoholism, it's a very tough.
It's
tough
going to hit
watch.
close to home.
It falls in the
Yeah.
category of like hard to recommend.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be like, here, sit down, be miserable for like an hour and a half.
2 hours.
And then, and then for afterwards when
Yeah.
when it stays with you, because it is very haunting in that sense. I feel like I've said that a lot, but it's like this,
I feel
we
like
watch a lot of
that's-
haunting movies, man. Like,
That's like all of Blake's choices, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Name
gotta
one
stop.
miserable movie that you
Stop
have.
fucking doing
like-
this.
Yeah, I remember when we were watching it, Jason was like, God, like we're 20 minutes in. He's like, God damn it, Blake. Like, what a fun Friday night again.
And also, don't be stupid like us and like hang out with your friends and have some drinks because
While
they'll just
watching
make
this
you
movie.
feel bad. Yeah, while watching this movie.
I don't
drink
love-
responsibly.
I'm not a miserable movie lover. It's-
Yes,
it's
you
not
fucking
true.
are, dude.
we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know. You haven't proved me wrong yet on this.
Okay. Do you guys want to talk about what we've been watching, or do you want to just jump into our pick of the week?
I haven't watched shit. Have you guys watched anything?
I've been watching this shitty Tim Allen TV show called Shifting Gears.
Another Tim Allen show.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's new.
Yeah, you talked about this the other week.
Oh, did I
Yeah,
I
with
talk
Kat
about that
Dennings?
on the podcast? Did
Yeah,
I
you
mention that?
mentioned it
Oh,
briefly,
Okay,
yeah.
never mind.
Has
yeah.
it gotten any better? Or is it-
So the guy who played Stifler in American Pie is in it. I forget what his name is.
Sean William Scott.
Yeah.
Sean William
he's
Scott.
in that? He
Yeah,
hasn't been in anything.
and
like,
he's like
Years.
so he's a B character, but he's like a main B character, if that makes sense.
okay.
Where like it seems like the B plot is mostly revolving around him right now in the show. It's not that great of a show, but if you're an old man who likes cars and Tim Allen, you'll probably like it.
Okay. There you
Yeah.
go. What about you, Jason? Are you watching anything?
Actually, no, I haven't watched anything. Have I? What did I watch this week? No, I watched like an episode of Supernatural. That's about it.
Ooh, which one?
It was in the first season. A lot of those episodes are rough, but
I was telling
the
you.
Bloody Mary episode.
Oh,
That episode
yeah.
just sucks. It's just like,
don't
who
even remember
cares?
Oh yes, that's like the mirror one, and they have to like go and they're just breaking mirrors. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a good episode.
No.
Really, but it had a fun death from what I remember. I don't remember.
There's a lot of not really good episodes in Supernatural.
Especially in the early
Yeah.
seasons. I think they get pretty consistent, like, especially
3.
seasons 3 through 5 are
Yes.
like
but
so solid.
towards after season 10, it really does start to feel like, okay, they're just going through the motions to get through this overarching
Dude,
plot.
after season 5, that's really when it goes down for
You don't-
me.
you don't like
but,
the
but
Leviathan
it's still
season?
fun. It's
Yeah.
fun after Season 5, they just say fuck it, and we're just gonna do whatever.
Yeah, like the Scooby-Doo
and I kind of like
episode.
that. Yeah,
And it feels like every season, after a while, they're just like trying to throw in a new gimmick. Like, oh, we're gonna have these types of monsters now, or
there's
oh,
a big bad every season.
look at this backstory that is now here for these characters. You know?
Okay. So I've been watching tons of movies. Really, I feel like I've watched more movies like last week than in a while. But I watched Kagemusha, which is one of Kurosawa's like colored films. Like it's like third last film or something, which is an amazing film. The visuals are insane for that. The Company of Wolves, which was a werewolf movie. Fargo, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And right after watching this movie, I put on MacGruber just to like completely break the tone. I was like, I don't want to end my Friday night just being sad, like depressed. Put on MacGruber, so that was very fun. Yeah, I don't know. Besides that, like TV.
Was MacGruber, was that the spinoff of like the SNL sketch?
MacGruber. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's having a midlife crisis and he's not dealing with it well. MacGruber. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was originally, so basically it's a parody of MacGyver.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's like the whole movie. It's very funny. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you guys have heard of MacGruber, but you should totally watch it if you haven't watched it.
I've never seen it.
I watched it a long time ago. I don't remember much about it.
It was very funny. It's so goofy, and it feels like those kind of comedies that just don't get made anymore.
Like Undercover Brother.
Yeah, it's like not to be like they don't make them like they used to, but they really don't. Like in terms of like those kind of style, like goofy, like parody films where it's like but it's also takes itself so seriously. They're like, you know what? We're gonna shoot this like they would an '80s action movie. You know, even the little thing where they jump from an explosion and it makes like that cat sound effect. That was like, wow. You know, that kind of was very popular in the '90s and late '80s. I don't know. It's so funny. The characters played so straight. Fucking.
It's weird. I would think that they would make more parody movies now that we've got like streaming services like Netflix and stuff like that. I feel like they would actually perform fairly well on those platforms.
I think the thing is they can be surprisingly expensive.
Yeah.
Because there's like so many
license,
different
right?
props. Yeah, stuff like that. But like there's just like, again, if you do it right, if you're not just trying to make like fucking like, I don't know, epic movie or Meet the Spartans or something, you want to actually make like a decent one. It takes a lot of thought and like, it takes like a real like kind of understanding of the genre that you're parodying, and I feel like that's what, I don't know, it's kind of lost.
Yeah, I mean, this is modern Hollywood we're talking about, so a decent one isn't in their vocabulary.
All right. Well, I mean, I feel like we're very keen for one now. I think also just because I feel like it's like past like 10 years, everyone's just been so serious lately.
Yeah.
Every fucking film has to be so serious. There's comedies. I don't know, man. It's like yes, it's a drama, but there's also a couple jokes, so it's a fucking comedy or something. It's like, no, okay. Like I don't know. It's like I feel like it's okay to just make a comedy, like just like a regular
watch.
fucking
They're gonna
comedy.
make Scary Movie Resurrection this year.
Aren't they making a new scary movie?
I think they are.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I don't know. At this point,
it's gonna be awful.
again, I'm just hope it's good. If the Marlon brothers the Wayans brothers, are they coming back? Do we know? that?
fucking
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I think Damian Wayans made a post and said like, yeah,
Good.
they're all coming back.
Then you know what? I'll give it a shot because I want to support those.
Yeah.
Supporting the real high class tiered films.
Yeah.
Um,
Supporting a dying genre.
Well, yeah. I mean, make movies happy again, man. Like
no.
everything is fucking miserable, and it's because of people like you, Blake.
Well, I'm sorry. I like what I like. Okay.
And you know what? That's fine. I think that it's always good to have those catharsis and like again, like we were saying with this movie, I think it's an important movie to watch. Like Mysterious Skin, they are tough films. But
Hey, and what's the common denominator there? Elizabeth Shue.
Oh shit!
yeah.
Hilarious! Wow, dude.
Hilarious.
I was gonna say, yeah. What a knee slapper.
She's
No.
the miserable '90s movies. She was in them. Good for her.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, I wanted to talk about my pick of the week.
Yeah. I have to introduce
Oh,
it.
sorry, Blake. Yeah, go.
What's your pick of the week?
Oh, my pick of the week. Oh, well, let me tell you. So I kind of I watched The Company of Wolves. I've been watching for some reason in this past like couple months, I've been watching a lot of werewolf movies. I don't know why. I just kind of have, from Silver Bullet, Wolfman.
Did you see the new one?
No.
Silver Bullet is a fucking great movie.
But
I mean, it's bad, but it's fun.
So to keep kind of in that vein, I want to pick a movie that I've never seen, but I've seen a few clips from it. The Shaggy DA.
The Shaggy
DA.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't have my phone.
Is that about a werewolf prosecutor?
It is not about
Okay,
a
that's
werewolf.
what I thought it was for a second.
It does have some transformation. It's a Disney film made in the 70s. It's about a DA
my God.
who gets cursed and turned into a dog. So
Wait.
Is this
No,
where
this
the
sounds
Shaggy
like the
Dog
same-
comes from?
Yeah.
yes, it is technically a sequel to the Shaggy Dog.
Okay.
I can't believe your pick is a sequel to the Shaggy Dog.
Yes, I just want to watch this movie.
Okay.
I think
Hell yeah, dude. I'm actually pumped, dude.
Yeah,
The
let's watch a
Shaggy
fun movie for once.
DA.
So Shaggy DA, here we go.
Okay.
I got to give you props for creativity here.
Yeah, I never would have thought of that movie.
I never would have known about the movie.
Same. Yeah,
Okay, we're good.
I think so.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Watch Leaving Las Vegas, but it's very sad.
Yeah. If you want to keep up, watch Shaggy DA.
And if you want to keep up, watch the Shaggy DA. Thank you. Happy Halloween.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Right.